In 2026, the financial reality for Americans looks very different than it did even a decade ago, and understanding this reality is the first and most important step to building wealth from scratch. Many people are still operating with outdated beliefs about money, believing that working hard, staying loyal to one job, and saving whatever is left over will eventually lead to financial security. For most Americans today, that formula no longer works. Not because people are lazy or irresponsible, but because the economic environment has changed in fundamental ways. Inflation has permanently reshaped the cost of living in the United States. Even when inflation rates slow down, prices rarely go back to where they were. Housing, groceries, utilities, healthcare, insurance, and transportation all cost significantly more than they used to, and wages have not kept up at the same pace for most workers. This creates a situation where doing everything right still feels like falling behind. When your paycheck increases by a few percent but your expenses rise faster, saving becomes harder, not easier. This is why saving money alone is no longer a wealth-building strategy. Saving is still important, but it is no longer sufficient by itself. Money sitting in a traditional savings account is slowly losing purchasing power over time. Even high-yield savings accounts are usually just keeping pace with inflation at best. For Americans starting from scratch in 2026, this means that playing it safe with cash is not actually safe at all. It's neutral at best and harmful at worst if it delays investing and income growth. Another major shift in the 2026 wealth reality is a growing gap between asset owners and non-owners. Americans who own assets like stocks, real estate, or businesses benefit from compounding and long-term growth. Those who rely only on wages are fully exposed to inflation, layoffs, and economic slowdowns. This gap is not about intelligence or effort. It's about access to systems that grow faster than expenses. Understanding this is critical, because wealth is not just about how much you earn, but about whether your money is working for you while you sleep. Job security also looks different in 2026. Long-term loyalty to a single employer no longer guarantees stability or retirement security. Layoffs, restructuring, automation, and AI-driven efficiency have made income less predictable across many industries. Even high-paying roles are not immune. This means Americans can no longer afford to depend on one income source for long-term wealth. Diversification is no longer just an investment concept. It's an income survival strategy. Debt has also become more dangerous in this environment. High-interest consumer debt is more common and more expensive than ever. Credit cards, buy now pay later services, and personal loans are aggressively marketed to consumers who are already stretched thin. For many Americans, debt quietly consumes future income before it's even owned. In 2026, building wealth from scratch requires a clear understanding that not all debt is equal, and that high-interest debt is one of the biggest barriers to progress. At the same time, the American financial system offers powerful tools that most people never fully use. Tax advantage accounts, employer benefits, investment platforms, and financial education resources are more accessible than ever. The problem is not lack of opportunity. The problem is lack of clarity and strategy. Many Americans are overwhelmed by conflicting advice, social media hype, and fear of making mistakes. This leads to paralysis, where doing nothing feels safer than taking action. Another reality of 2026 is the psychological pressure around money. Social media constantly showcases lifestyles that are not representative of the average American experience. This creates unrealistic expectations and comparison traps. People feel behind, even when they are making progress. They overspend to appear successful or delay investing because they believe they are too late. In reality, wealth is not built by looking rich. It's built by consistent, often boring decisions made over time. The idea that you need a high income to build wealth is also deeply misunderstood. While higher income can accelerate progress, it is not the deciding factor. Many high-income Americans live paycheck to paycheck, while some moderate-income households quietly build significant net worth. The difference is behavior, systems, and long-term thinking. In 2026, the Americans who succeed financially are not necessarily the highest owners. They are the most intentional. Time is another misunderstood element of wealth. Many people believe they are late if they didn't start investing in their early 20s. This belief discourages action and keeps people stuck. The truth is that starting later simply means being more focused and consistent. Compounding still works in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. The real risk is not starting late. It's never starting at all. The economy in 2026 also rewards adaptability. Industries evolve faster, skills become outdated more quickly, and opportunities shift rapidly. Americans who build wealth are those who are willing to learn, adjust, and reposition themselves as the market changes. This doesn't require chasing every trend. It requires staying relevant and valuable in an economy that rewards problem solvers. Another key reality is that financial education is largely self-directed. Most schools do not teach practical money management, investing, or tax strategy. This puts a responsibility on individuals to educate themselves. While this can feel unfair, it is also empowering. Information has never been more available. The challenge is filtering out noise and focusing on principles that actually work in the U.S. financial system. Perhaps the most important reality of all is that wealth building in America is a long-term process. There are no shortcuts that work consistently. Get-rich-quick schemes, speculative bets, and viral investment trends may produce occasional winners, but they destroy more wealth than they create. Sustainable wealth is built through steady income growth, disciplined investing, risk management, and patience. For Americans starting from scratch in 2026, understanding this reality changes everything. It shifts the focus from quick wins to systems, from motivation to structure, from fear to informed action. It replaces confusion with clarity and replaces frustration with a plan. Building wealth today is not about perfection. It's about alignment. Aligning your spending with your priorities. Aligning your income with market demand. Aligning your investments with long-term growth. And aligning your expectations with reality instead of social media fantasy. When you fully understand the 2026 wealth reality, you stop blaming yourself and start building systems that work in the environment you actually live in. You realize that wealth is not reserved for a lucky few. It is accessible to Americans who are willing to learn the rules of the modern financial game and play it patiently, consistently, and strategically over time. Controlling your cash flow is the foundation of building wealth in America, and without this step, everything else eventually falls apart. In 2026, many Americans feel like they don't earn enough to get ahead, but the real issue for most people isn't income alone. It's a lack of control and visibility over where their money is actually going. Cash flow is simply the movement of money in and out of your life, and if you don't manage it intentionally, it will manage you. The first mistake many Americans make is assuming budgeting is restrictive or only for people who are struggling. In reality, budgeting is not about deprivation. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your money reflects your priorities instead of your impulses. Without a system, money disappears quietly through small, frequent decisions that don't feel significant in the moment but add up over time. A zero-based budget is one of the most effective tools for gaining control. This approach means every dollar you earn is assigned a purpose before the month begins. Rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, savings, and investing all get accounted for. Even fun money is planned. When every dollar has a job, you remove guesswork and reduce financial stress. You stop wondering where your money went because you already told it where to go. Tracking expenses is uncomfortable at first because it forces honesty. Many Americans underestimate how much they spend on food delivery, subscriptions, convenience purchases, and impulse buys. These aren't moral failures. They are awareness gaps. Once you see the numbers clearly, you can make decisions instead of excuses. Awareness is not about guilt. It's about control. Housing is usually the largest expense for Americans, and controlling cash flow often starts here. In 2026, housing costs remain high across much of the country, making it even more important to keep this expense within reason. Living slightly below what you can technically afford creates breathing room. That breathing room becomes savings, investing power, and peace of mind. Overextending on housing traps people in a cycle where wealth building becomes impossible no matter how hard they work. Transportation is another major cash flow factor. New cars with high monthly payments quietly drain future wealth. Reliable transportation matters, but financing expensive vehicles with long loan terms keeps Americans locked into payments that limit flexibility. Choosing practicality over status in this category can free up hundreds of dollars per month, which compounds massively over time when invested. Once spending is under control, debt becomes the next priority. Not all debt is equal, but high-interest consumer debt is one of the most destructive forces in personal finance. Credit cards charging 20 to 30% interest work against you every single day. Carrying balances means you are paying a premium just to exist financially. Paying off high-interest debt is not a setback. It's an investment with a guaranteed return. Many Americans delay debt payoff because they want to invest at the same time. While investing is important, it rarely makes sense to invest aggressively while carrying toxic debt. The math alone makes this clear. Eliminating high-interest debt improves cash flow instantly and reduces financial stress. It also builds confidence and momentum, which are critical early in the wealth-building journey. After debt is addressed, building an emergency fund becomes non-negotiable. In the United States, life is unpredictable. Job loss, medical expenses, car repairs, and family emergencies are not rare events. Without an emergency fund, these moments turn into financial disasters that erase progress and push people back into debt. A fully funded emergency fund acts as a shock absorber. It protects your system so you don't have to rely on credit when life happens. The recommended range of 3 to 6 months of essential expenses exists for a reason. It's not about pessimism. It's about resilience. Knowing you can cover your basic needs for several months gives you leverage. It allows you to make better decisions, negotiate from a position of strength, and avoid panic-driven choices that cost more in the long run. Controlling cash flow also means building habits that support consistency. Automation plays a powerful role here. Automatic bill payments prevent late fees. Automatic transfers to savings and investment accounts remove temptation. When good financial decisions happen without willpower, they become sustainable. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. Another important part of cash flow control is understanding timing. Many Americans earn income on a predictable schedule, but spend as if money is always available. Aligning bills with pay cycles, planning for irregular expenses, and anticipating annual costs like insurance premiums or holidays prevent surprises. Surprises are what break budgets and force people back into reactive behavior. Cash flow control also improves emotional decision-making. Money stress clouds judgment and leads to short-term thinking. When your finances are organized, you can think long-term. You can say no to bad opportunities and yes to better ones. You can invest patiently instead of chasing quick wins out of fear. One overlooked benefit of cash flow mastery is flexibility. When you control your money, you gain options. Options to invest more. Options to switch jobs. Options to take calculated risks. Wealth is not just about net worth. It's about choice. And choice begins with control. Many Americans believe they need to earn more before they can get organized financially. In reality, organization often comes first. When you control cash flow, raises and extra income actually change your life instead of disappearing. Income growth without cash flow control leads to lifestyle inflation. Income growth with structure leads to wealth. It's also important to understand that perfection is not required. Budgets will break. Unexpected expenses will happen. The goal is not flawless execution. The goal is consistency and adjustment. Reviewing your numbers monthly, making small improvements, and staying engaged keeps the system working. Financial progress is built through iteration, not rigidity. In 2026, controlling cash flow is more important than ever because the margin for error is smaller. Expenses rise quickly, and financial shocks are common. Americans who master this step don't just survive. They position themselves to thrive. They turn chaos into clarity and stress into strategy. Cash flow control is not glamorous. It doesn't go viral, but it is a difference between hoping things work out and knowing you are moving forward. It is a quiet discipline that makes every other wealth-building step possible. When you fully control your cash flow, money stops being a constant source of anxiety and starts becoming a tool. A tool you can use to build security, invest in your future, and create real wealth over time. This step doesn't just change your finances. It changes how you think, how you plan, and how confidently you move forward in your wealth journey. In 2026, increasing income strategically is no longer optional for Americans who want to build wealth from scratch. You can budget perfectly, avoid debt, and save diligently, but there's a ceiling to how much progress you can make if your income stays flat. The goal of this stage is not to hustle endlessly or work yourself into burnout. The goal is to increase your earning power in a way that aligns with how the U.S. economy actually rewards value. The first mindset shift Americans must make is understanding that income is tied to value, not effort. Many people work extremely hard in roles that the market simply does not pay well. This isn't a judgment of worth or importance. It's an economic reality. In 2026, the fastest way to increase income is to move closer to problems that are expensive, urgent, or revenue-generating for businesses and individuals. The closer you are to money, the more money you are paid. One of the biggest mistakes people make is focusing only on job titles instead of skills. Titles change, industries shift, but skills carry across roles. In the current U.S. economy, skills that support technology, efficiency, revenue growth, compliance, and problem-solving are in high demand. This includes tech-adjacent skills like data analysis, automation tools, AI-assisted workflows, cybersecurity awareness, and software support. You don't need to be a programmer to benefit from technology. You need to know how to use tools that make businesses faster and more profitable. Skilled trades also continue to offer strong income potential in America. Electricians, vac technicians, plumbers, and specialized contractors are in short supply in many regions. These roles are resistant to automation and often allow for self-employment or business ownership over time. For many Americans, learning a trade is a faster and more reliable path to income growth than chasing credentials that don't lead directly to higher pay. Another critical area is digital services. Businesses in the U.S. constantly need help with marketing, content, customer support, analytics, operations, and online presence. These services can often be learned without formal degrees and scaled over time. The key is specialization. Generalists compete on price. Specialists get paid for results. Instead of offering marketing, someone who helps local service businesses generate leads through specific platforms becomes far more valuable. The concept of side hustles needs to be reframed. Many Americans start side hustles that simply trade time for money, such as driving, delivery, or hourly gigs. While these can provide short-term relief, they rarely build long-term wealth. Strategic income growth focuses on leverage. Leverage comes from skills, systems, or assets that allow income to grow without hours increasing at the same rate. The first income milestone matters more than most people realize. Your first extra $1,000 per month changes how you see money. Your first $10,000 saved proves that your strategy works. These milestones build confidence and momentum. Wealth building is not just financial. It's psychological. Each win reinforces a belief that progress is possible. Another important principle is stacking income streams intentionally. This does not mean juggling chaos. It means creating layers. A primary job provides stability. A skill-based side income provides growth. Investment provides long-term compounding. Over time, some income streams may replace others. The point is not to do everything at once, but to build step by step. Americans in 2026 must also understand negotiation. Many people leave money on the table simply because they never ask. Negotiating salary, benefits, freelance rates, or contracts is not about being aggressive. It's about understanding your value and communicating it clearly. Even small percentage increases compound significantly over career. Upskilling is a lifelong process, not a one-time event. The U.S. economy rewards those who stay relevant. This does not mean chasing every trend. It means paying attention to where demand is growing and positioning yourself accordingly. Learning one high-income skill and deepening it over time often outperforms learning many skills superficially. Income growth also requires patience. Many Americans quit too early because results are not immediate. Skill development takes time. Building a reputation takes time. But once momentum builds, income can grow faster than expected. The early phase feels slow because you are laying foundations that others never build. It's also important to avoid comparison traps. Social media often highlights extreme success stories that are not representative. Real income growth for most Americans looks steady, not explosive. It looks like gradual raises, increasing side income, and improved opportunities over several years. This is not failure. This is how sustainable wealth is built. Taxes must also be considered as income grows. In the U.S., keeping more of what you earn is just as important as earning more. Understanding basic tax planning, deductions, and retirement accounts can significantly improve take-home income without working more. Many Americans focus only on gross income and ignore efficiency. Perhaps the most overlooked aspect of income growth is alignment with lifestyle and values. More money is not helpful if it destroys health, relationships, or mental well-being. Strategic income growth seeks balance. It aims for flexibility, autonomy, and long-term sustainability. Wealth is not just about numbers. It's about quality of life. In 2026, Americans who build wealth from scratch do not rely on a single break or opportunity. They build income intentionally, skill by skill, stream by stream. They understand that income is the engine that fuels investing, security, and freedom. Without fuel, even the best financial plan stalls. Increasing income strategically turns wealth building from theory into reality. It accelerates progress, absorbs mistakes, and creates options. It transforms financial discipline into financial momentum. And for Americans starting from zero, it is often the turning point where things finally begin to change. In 2026, investing the American way is where long-term wealth truly begins to take shape. This is a stage where money starts working harder than you do. For many Americans, investing feels intimidating, risky, or reserved for people who already have wealth. That belief keeps millions stuck relying only on income, which is the slowest path to financial freedom. The truth is, investing is not about being fearless or aggressive. It's about being consistent, informed, and patient. The first thing Americans must understand is that investing is not optional anymore. In the past, pensions and stable long-term employment provided a safety net. In 2026, that system is largely gone. Retirement security has shifted to the individual. Social security alone is not designed to provide a comfortable retirement, and relying on it as a primary plan is risky. Investing fills that gap by allowing your money to grow over time instead of slowly losing value. The foundation of investing in the United States starts with tax advantage accounts. These are tools built into the system that reward long-term investing, yet many Americans either ignore them or don't fully understand their value. A 401k offered by an employer is often the first opportunity. If there is an employer match, not taking it is the equivalent of turning down free money. That match is an immediate return on investment that cannot be replicated elsewhere. Beyond employer plans, individual retirement accounts play a major role. Roth IRAs, in particular, are powerful because they allow your investments to grow tax-free. That means once the money is invested, future gains are not taxed when withdrawn under the rules. For Americans starting from scratch, this creates enormous long-term advantages, especially when investing early and consistently. Health savings accounts are another overlooked tool. For those with qualifying health plans, HSAs offer triple tax advantages. Contributions are tax-deductible, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free. Over time, this can function as both a healthcare safety net and a supplemental retirement account. Once the account structure is in place, the next decision is how to invest. This is where many Americans overcomplicate things. In reality, simple strategies outperform complex ones for most people. Low-cost index funds provide exposure to the broader U.S. stock market without the need to pick individual stocks or predict market movements. These funds benefit from overall economic growth, innovation, and productivity over time. Trying to time the market is one of the most common mistakes beginners make. Waiting for the perfect moment often results in sitting on the sidelines while time passes. In investing, time is more powerful than timing. Automatic contributions invested consistently smooth out market volatility and reduce emotional decision-making. This approach turns market ups and downs into an advantage rather than a threat. Risk management is also essential. Investing does not mean gambling. Diversification across industries, asset classes, and time reduces the impact of downturns. Understanding your risk tolerance helps you stay invested during periods of uncertainty. Many Americans sell at the worst possible times because they invested money they weren't emotionally prepared to see fluctuate. Another critical concept is long-term perspective. Investing rewards patience. Compounding works slowly at first and then accelerates. This delayed gratification is difficult in a culture focused on instant results, but it is a core reason investing works. Americans who build wealth stay invested through cycles instead of reacting to headlines. Fees matter more than most people realize. High fees quietly erode returns over decades. Choosing low-cost investment options preserves more of your gains. This is one of the simplest yet most impactful decisions an investor can make. Investing also requires ongoing education, but not constant action. Understanding basic principles, reviewing allocations periodically, and staying informed without overreacting is a balance. Wealthy investors are not constantly trading. They are consistently invested. In 2026, investing is not about chasing trends, meme stocks, or overnight wins. It's about building a system that works quietly in the background. It's about allowing compounding, tax efficiency, and time to do what no job ever can on its own. For Americans starting from scratch, investing represents a shift from dependence on labor to ownership. It is a transition from owning money to building assets. And over time, it becomes the most powerful driver of financial independence. If you've made it this far, You now understand that building wealth in America in 2026 is not about luck, a high-paying job, or chasing get-rich-quick schemes. It's about taking consistent, deliberate action, controlling your cash flow, increasing your income strategically, investing intelligently, protecting your assets, and staying disciplined for the long term. Knowledge alone doesn't create financial freedom. Action does. Now it's time for you to take the first real step. Start by reviewing your current financial situation honestly. Where's your money going? What high-interest debts are holding you back? How much are you saving and investing each month? Awareness is a first step toward control. Once you know where you stand, set clear, measurable goals. Decide exactly what financial freedom looks like for you and break it down into actionable steps you can implement immediately. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Automate your savings and investments. Make small, smart decisions every day that compound over time. Every extra dollar invested, every high-value skill you develop, and every step you take to protect your money accelerates your path to wealth. Momentum compounds, and those who start today will see results that others only dream of. If you're serious about building real, lasting wealth, subscribe to this channel now. We're here to guide Americans like you step by step, providing practical strategies, insights, and action plans that actually work in today's economy. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, because every week we bring content designed to help you increase your income, invest smarter, and secure your financial future. This is your moment to stop waiting for the perfect time or the next opportunity. The best time to start building wealth was yesterday. The second best time is today. Take control of your finances, implement the strategies you've learned, and commit to consistent action. The American dream is not a fantasy. It's achievable when you follow a system designed for success. Don't just watch. Act! Your future self will thank you for the choices you make today. Start small, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward. Subscribe, engage, and join our community of Americans taking real steps toward financial independence. Your journey to building wealth from scratch starts here, and this channel will be with you every step of the way.